Hello mate, I'm Will from Fully Gaming, and as you may have guessed, today I'll be reviewing the Secretlab Titan gaming chair. So if you're in the market for a new chair, stick around and find out whether or not the Titan is worth a buy. As always, the links to everything we talk about in this video will be in the description. If you're familiar with the Titan and Secretlab in general, then you'll probably have noticed that the thing I'm sat in is in fact a Titan. We were lucky enough to have one sent over for a review, and while a review unit would never affect our score, it has allowed us to experience the chair firsthand, which has been great. Anyway, let's crack on with the review, shall we? Starting with materials, I believe. At the time of filming this video, you can pick up a Titan in 9 different colours and 3 different materials. It's too hot in here, mate, I can't do it. Oh, it's so hot in here. What is wrong with people? Get the heating off, mate. PU leather, which is a synthetic leather. Nappa leather, which is real leather. And what they call soft weave fabric, which is obviously a fabric and not leather. And it definitely gives the chairs a really different look and feel compared to the leather options. What you go for is, of course, up to you, but we went for the PU leather. Not only is it the cheapest option, but it also might help you avoid kind of any questions that you've been asking yourself about any animal rights stuff. It's all complicated now, isn't it? Everything, someone's getting tortured for everything you own. Accept it, live, move on, enjoy. So yeah, synthetic leather, plus, definitely a plus. Secretlab calls PU leather a durable, soft, flexible and water resistant material, and so far, so good. It feels and smells a bit like real leather. Unlike actual leather, when you spill something on it, you just wipe it on off. No stains or anything. No watermarks, nothing. Wipe it off, baby! Maybe that won't be a big deal for some people, but if you're anything like me, then you'll spend a lot of time at your desk, and sometimes that can include a bit of eating and definitely a bit of drinking. So the ability to just not worry about it too much and wipe off any stains or any spillages is actually, it's quite a nice little thing to have there and not be constantly worrying about, oh, am I going to mark my nice new chair, because it's just not an issue. Plus, it should help keep the chair in better condition in years to come. While we're on the subject of the leather, let's talk about the chair's overall appearance. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail here because, as I've said, there are multiple colour and material options, and depending on what kind of variation you choose, your chair could look completely different to mine. So I don't want to make a blanket statement about the appearance of the chair without actually really being able to comment properly on it. You know what I mean? I will say this though, if you look at the gaming chair kind of market across the board, then Secretlab chairs, I feel, sit towards the more stylish end of that spectrum. You can get some really pretty grim looking gaming chairs out there, and regardless of the colour and material you choose, your Titan is never going to be near those. With a couple of exceptions, the colour options only tend to really affect the detailing of the chair, so that keeps the designs looking pretty consistent and means that you can't really go too wrong. We chose black with suede, which is probably the best option for anyone looking for a slightly more subdued design and style. The black on black means that the chair fits into most rooms without standing out, and that's how I like it. If you're not like me and prefer something a little bit more colourful, then there are options for brighter designs, but for me, the black is perfect. You really need to shave and get a haircut. And probably change my shirt as well, actually, although it's quite cool, this one. So do I need to change my shirt, actually, because how many other shirts can do that? What about the size and shape of the chair? Well, as you can expect, the Titan is a big chair. I'm just over 6 foot and weigh probably more than I should, and the Titan is completely fine for me. It doesn't feel small at all, it just feels pretty right. It's designed to be big, of course, but it is worth mentioning that if you do pick up a Titan, it is going to be a little bit bigger than your kind of standard office chair. I've lived in some pretty small flats, and there are a couple of examples in my head where actually a Titan might not have been the best option for me. Even though I am, I guess, bigger than average, it still wouldn't have been worth trading that space just to have a more comfortable chair, if that makes sense. Having said that, I should point out that Secretlab does offer a few other chairs in their collection, and obviously they're not all as big as the Titan. In fact, the Titan is the biggest. So if you like the look of the Titan, but you don't think you want something so big, or you're maybe slightly shorter and you just don't need it, then I'd say it's probably worth checking out the other chairs as well, because I have heard good things about them too. In terms of its shape, the Titan is designed to look like a racing style chair. Now, depending on your personal preference, this might not be a design that you like. Historically, it's not a design that I like either. To be fair, once I had built the chair, my opinion did change a little bit on the whole racing style chair design thing. I'm not saying I love every type of racing style chair now, but what I will say is that once it was up and it's black on black, it's not actually too different from the shape of my office chair at work. If you get rid of the wings and then put this on a little metal bracket there rather than having padding all the way up, it's basically the same shape, if we're being honest with each other. Perhaps most impressively though, even my girlfriend thought the chair was alright. She said it was completely fine. She's picky as well, so that's about as high praise as I can give the chair. Go and buy it now, frankly, after that. I think I'd been prejudging the chairs on how I thought they would look rather than how they actually look, if that makes sense. When I had the chance to make an informed decision, actually I realised that I didn't have a problem with them at all and I'd been wasting my energy. Not that I was that excited with it, but you know, you live and you learn. And while we're on the subject of not liking racing style chairs or just gaming chairs in general, yes, we all know that there are office chairs out there that offer great support, they're comfortable, they look nice, and I know as well that actually it's not just gamers that get a bad back, apparently. But businesses are just designing chairs to make them look how they think their customers want them to look. Think about armchairs. We didn't just make one and go, right, that's it, we're done, it's comfortable, isn't it? No, we're not. We don't live in the Soviet Union. We're allowed to make more than one variation of each thing for different opinions and different needs. And I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, and even still now, a lot of my mates who played games, in fact, probably just about all of my mates that played games, sat on horrible chairs. Kitchen chairs, sat on the floor, whatever, for hours and hours and hours on end. And think how much damage they will have been doing, and me included, to their backs. It probably makes me sound like a massive, I don't know, chair nerd? But actually, sitting and playing games for hours and hours on end is just as bad for your back as sitting and working at a desk all day is. So this new kind of recent focus on the right chair for people who play games is actually, I think, quite a positive thing. And even though there were great office chairs back then when I was growing up and playing games with my mates, we still never bought one. And I honestly do believe if we were that age now and there was more of a kind of focus on the right kind of chair, gaming chairs, that at least some of my mates would have bought a chair and that would have helped their back. So as long as the chairs are decent and people aren't getting scammed out of their money, then more options is a good thing, and having chairs targeted at gamers just kind of makes sense to me. Anyway, distraction over. Probably carry on with the review now. Might have to refilm that now, Will, because of the stupid click you did. Well done. Let's talk about the inside of the chair. So inside the chair is what is called high density cold cure foam, which sounds really complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. It's foam that's made in a particular way that's supposed to make the chair more comfortable, but also more durable as well. Basically, the foam inside is molded rather than cut. So each chair gets its own molded foam rather than each one being cut out of some huge big block of pre-made foam. Secretlab claim that this process gives the chair higher integrity, consistency, and strength, and they compare it to baking bread. Imagine a lovely fresh loaf of bread with a thick brown crust on it, and now imagine pieces of bread that have been cut up to have their raw edges exposed, and that's kind of what the whole cold cure foam molding, etc. process is all about. High density cold cure foam, everyone. You really can learn something new every day. Having used the Titan for a couple of weeks now, I would argue that they've actually found quite a nice balance between comfort and support with the foam, and they also include some integrated lumbar support, which is quite a nice feature actually, and basically allows you to modify the tightness of the lumbar support in the chair. And that actually brings me quite nicely on to the features of the Titan. Let's kick it off with what I was just talking about, which is what Secretlab call integrated lumbar adjustment support. I got it right. This is basically just adjustable back support for your lower to mid back, and it's probably my favorite thing about the chair. I like it because it really helps you find that kind of personal sweet spot between comfort and support for your back as well. And a lot of gaming chairs come with pillows for your lower back, and I don't rate them very much because they're too soft, and actually if you want some proper support but the chair isn't hard enough, then you're kind of stuck in a situation where you don't really have a chair that fits your needs. But it's hard to get that balance right, so the adjustable lumbar support is great, I think. It's also nice and easy to use. You just twist a knob clockwise and anti-clockwise on the right hand side of the chair, and that tightens and loosens the lumbar support respectively. Moving on to the multifunctional tilt mechanism. Secretlab argues that the multifunctional tilt allows users to kind of adjust their position or rock back and forward, which allows for what they call supported movement. We're supposed to move and change position during the day to avoid issues related to sitting too still for too long, basically. So the tilt function is supposed to increase blood supply and therefore oxygen supply to your brain, which is supposed to keep you more kind of active and aware during the day. I don't know too much about this sort of stuff, so I wouldn't claim to be an expert one way or the other, but I think ultimately this will come down to personal choice. Some people I know do seem to rock backwards and forwards in their chair all day, so to be fair, maybe this is a feature that will be quite key for them. It's certainly a feature that you see in almost all high-end gaming and office chairs, so it's obviously something that people care about. The final feature that I'm going to highlight is the directional arm rests. The clue is in the name, but essentially you can customize your arm rests to your heart's content. Up, down, side to side, and forwards and backwards are all doable and mean that you can basically get it perfect for your desk and your height and your kind of width, etc. A nice addition to be sure, but if I'm totally honest, getting the armrests set up and getting them all perfect for me was nice, and I liked being able to do that, but it's not something that I am overly concerned about. As long as they're roughly in the right place, then generally I'm not too fussed. But after reading through the reviews on the Secretlab site, I actually saw that quite a lot of people did mention the multi-directional armrests as something that they quite appreciated, so I thought it would be worth putting in anyway. And to be fair, that is probably one of the main perks of the Titan in general, is that it is super customizable. I think that's a word. And so fair enough, the armrests also go along with this pattern. Now that the materials and features are out the way, we're pretty much done. But before I give you my overall opinion on the Titan, I've been sifting through the comments and reviews that people have been leaving for the Titan, and I've been kind of collating the common issues and any negative comments that people have had about the chair. I always read through negative comments and reviews before I buy anything, because it almost always kicks up any of the common issues that I should know about a product or service before I take the plunge and buy it. And it allows me to address them properly rather than just hoping that there isn't anything wrong with it. It means that you can kind of get a more balanced view of the product before you actually take that plunge and make a purchase. And hopefully it will be helpful for you too, being in this video, so that you don't have to go away and do it yourself. So I want to cover the fact that the chair is quite hard, because I've seen a few people mentioning that they expected the Titan to be softer when they first sat on it. I think this is in some ways valid, because to be fair, if you do like a soft chair, then maybe you shouldn't pick up a Titan. I personally don't think it's too hard at all. It's going to come down to a bit of personal preference, but with these sorts of chairs, a big part of the reason why you pay a little bit more is so that you know that it's going to have the appropriate kinds of support for your back and that it is going to help you with your posture. And part of that is that slightly harder material. But as I said, I personally do not find it hard or uncomfortable. Something else I saw a few people talking about was the size of the chair. A few people here and there talking about how they expected the chair to be bigger or even smaller than what they actually ended up with. There's a bit of a lack of consistency there because some people were saying that the chair was a little bit too big and then a couple of others were saying that it's too small. So to me, that makes me think that that's maybe a lack of research more than anything. But it is worth saying that the chair is on the larger side. I wouldn't say it looks out of place at your kind of average sized desk, but compared to your normal office chair, it is a little bit bigger. So if you don't have bags of room, then maybe it is worth thinking about, actually, can I fit this in here? Will it look appropriate and will it take up loads of room? I should mention as well that the box that the chair comes in is pretty big too, and it's heavy. So if you're not comfortable lifting heavy big boxes, then you might need a hand with the kind of initial steps before you get the chair set up. Next thing I came across was the issue of misaligned parts or just parts not coming at all or being scratched or broken. This just wasn't an issue for me. Everything came as expected, nothing was scratched, and I put the chair together relatively easily. But I will say that there were a couple of moments when I was building the chair that I was a little bit frustrated. The parts definitely all lined up, but it was on the tighter side when it came to making one or two of the angles, and there are a couple of steps during the build where you can mess things up, just like I did with that cough, eh? Wow. Brings it right back, 360, nails it. To avoid any of these sorts of issues, when you get the chair, open it up, take out all the parts and just lay them out and just double check that you've got everything that you need and that nothing's damaged or missing. And also it's worth having a look at Secretlabs tutorial video that they made for building the chair, because it is more detailed than the pamphlet that comes in the box and makes the whole thing pretty easy, really. There's no excuses. If you watch the video, then you don't really have an excuse for making a mistake when building the chair. Now, to be fair to Secretlab, these aren't particularly common complaints, but they are the most common complaints I could find. In general, the Titan is exceptionally well reviewed. One thing that I have seen a little bit more than the other ones is a mention of the chair's price. I think that's actually a pretty valid thing to say, because it's true that they just aren't the cheapest chairs out there. But having said that, I think it's also fair to say that at this price point, it's probably the best value for money that you're getting for a gaming chair. It's worth mentioning as well that if you've ever bought an office chair in the past for your work or maybe for your study at home, and you've been looking at the higher end of those office chairs, the ones that are meant to be good for your back and things like that, they can be very expensive and certainly around the price of the Titan and above. So this isn't a new thing. Good chairs can be expensive. So basically, is it expensive? Yeah. Is it worth it? Yeah, I think so. Right, let's wrap it up and finish with my own personal feelings towards the chair, having used it for about 2 weeks now. It's not going to be perfect for everyone, because not everyone needs a bigger chair or one with all of the customization options. But if you're in the market for a bigger chair, one with those customization options that looks nice, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect for everyone, because not everyone needs such a big chair. It's not going to be perfect for everyone, because maybe you don't need such a big chair and maybe you don't need one with those customization options. But if you're in the market for a gaming chair that has a big, nice base for you to sit on, it's not going to be perfect for everyone, because not everyone needs a bigger gaming chair or one with all of the customization options. But if you're in the market for a gaming chair, one that's bigger, one that does have those customization options, one that has a few nice features added in, and one that looks nice, then I think the Secretlab Titan is probably the best gaming chair on the market. It's not going to be perfect for everyone because it is bigger and some people just won't need things like the customization options. But if you're in the market for a gaming chair that is slightly bigger, that does have customization options, that has a nice set of features and also looks nice, then I think the Secretlab Titan is a great option for you. As I said, I've been using the chair for a couple of weeks now, and I don't really have any complaints. My only worry before the chair came was the way it looked. To be totally honest, I was a little bit worried because, as I said earlier, I didn't like racing style chairs, or at least I didn't think I did. But once I actually got it up, and I think I've mentioned it about 5 times now, but once I got it up and had a look, it was really actually completely fine, and if anything, it has won me over and changed my opinion of racing style chairs. So, to summarize, I think the Secretlab Titan is one of the best gaming chairs out there on the market today. It's quite expensive and you can find other cheaper versions of chairs that look similar, and you need to ask yourself ultimately, am I willing to pay extra here when this money could be going towards a improvement in your PC performance or maybe some new games or something like that. But ultimately, if you are willing to pay a premium for a premium chair, then my advice would be to absolutely go for it. If the money's there to buy the chair anyway, you won't regret spending it on the Titan. It's just that if you do have a smaller budget, you might not be able to get one of these right now. That's it. The review is finally over. If you have any questions about the Titan or about anything else, please do feel free to leave them in the comments. As I said at the beginning, the links to everything that I've mentioned in this video are in the description, and I should mention that the Secretlab link is an affiliate link. Thanks for watching, and if the video has helped you, then please do leave a like, and if you end up getting a chair, even if it's not a Titan, please do let me know which one you've gotten and what you think, and especially if you got a Titan, I want to know what you think. I think that's everything. Right. Okay. Love you. Bye. Take that out. Obviously, that's not making it into the video.